Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and today we are talking about Last Night in Soho, which has been out for a little over a month now.
Yep. So long that I missed it in theaters and watched it on Amazon Prime.
And that I saw it a full month ago now.
But this is Edgar Wright's newest installment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to start off by saying...
Spoilers.
Okay, well, definitely spoilers. If you're listening to this having not watched it, what are you doing?
Yeah, this is one you don't want spoiled.
Yeah. Watch it.
Just watch it.
It's streaming right now. Rent it, watch it. Please do. Do yourself a favor. All right, back to it. I wanted to start off saying this is the least Edgar Wright feeling film that he's made so far that still 100% felt like an Edgar Wright film.
Yeah. It's got a lot, like the facing is very different, but the mechanics are still the same.
Right. And though this movie did have a sense of humor to it,
sure,
it was not a funny movie.
No.
This movie is dark
so
and
fucking dark.
Creepy. Like, there are moments where you just feel gross.
Yep.
And it's just so masterfully done. Like, it just keeps you enthralled and intrigued.
Well, it takes you on the ride it wants to.
Yeah.
It plays all of the tones exactly right to get you to feel a certain way, and then once you're leaning into that, pull the rug out from under you and have you feel a different way.
Oh my gosh.
Just every 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. And I don't know, I always feel not let down. Let down's the wrong term. But when filmmakers use the trope of being able to see into the past to solve a mystery, they never do it well.
Sure.
This was probably the best I've ever seen it done, to where it never felt like I was having my hand held through the story.
Sure.
Like I was able to progress through it with the main character, but it also was not 100% trustworthy either. Sure. Like, they established that she can see ghosts.
Well, you're seeing it through her filter of what she's seeing.
Right. But like, so it's established with her mother. Mm-hmm. Like, she can see her mother. And that was very interesting because, like, it's not used as a jump scare.
Sure.
In the beginning. And oh my god, I hope.
If you do hear anybody screaming for Maya, that's Ian's lovely wife trying to get Maya to stop being a ruffian.
And trying to sneak some of the steak she's cooking at the moment. But it's never used as a horror element, which is so strange to me. Because
it's used as a horror element a few times at the end.
The mother.
Oh, the mother never is. Yeah.
Like, the mother is always watching and caring and supportive in her ghostly way.
Sure.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's not until she goes to London that her visions become horror. Essentially. And they don't even start off horror. They start off very whimsical. Yeah. And it's not until the realizations start happening that you do realize that, oh, these are very
this isn't
scary
fun.
things.
Yeah.
I could probably talk about the cinematography of this movie for a month straight.
It was very good. Very cool. Just, have you watched some of the behind the scenes things I've sent you? Just like how they achieved that mirror shot that's in all the trailers. Mm-hmm. With a freaking cutaway mirror and a green screen.
Yeah. Or I think you sent it to me, the dance.
Yeah, the dance being a largely a one-shot.
That is a legitimate one-shot that they just choreographed to be able to have the two actresses switch Oh my gosh. It's so
and
impressive.
Good for, I mean, obviously good for those actresses. They did incredible. But good for Matt Smith not looking like his focus was changing.
Right?
Even though it was actually changing.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, because this was something that I found out from something you didn't send me.
Great.
But you might. It was an interview with Edgar Wright. So there's a scene at the very beginning where... So there's a trope that he has in every movie.
Sure.
Well, he has many tropes.
Yeah.
But one of them is that there's always twins somewhere in his movie.
I've seen.
Yeah, have you seen this one?
Yeah.
So the twins in Last Night in Soho is a mirror reflection of the host, the concierge.
Yeah.
And it's the Weasley brothers.
Yeah,
the Weasley twins.
From Harry Potter. Yeah. Instead of having a mirror there, they just shot the scene. Because the actress is reflected. You know this because you saw it, right? You're listening to our advice and not listening to this without having seen it. So you know that the mirror reflection is acted, not a mirror, which is insane.
Yeah.
They did such a good job with that. But the scenes with Matt Smith, he is mirrored. They used a mirror. But for the twin scene, they just didn't use a mirror at all.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
2 concierges and the 2 different actresses playing the part. And they mirror the movements
so well.
Perfectly. Like, it's identical. And it blew me away. Oh, I like it.
I appreciate, and I think this is happening with a lot of directors, but it's never went away with Edgar Wright. They're using practical with CG. They're not choosing one or the other. They're integrating them together into the best possible version with all given technology.
Well, and that's something that I think a lot of people mistake. A lot of filmmakers mistake is that CG isn't a crutch. It's a tool.
Right. And add it to your toolkit. Don't throw the old one out and replace it.
You don't replace practical effects with CG. You amplify practical effects with CG.
Right.
And Edgar Wright and his team are they're the kings of this. Like, they are so good at this. And there's one scene in particular that it's such a small scene. But it's my favorite shot in the entire film. And it's when she first falls asleep and she in her new apartment, and she throws the sheet over herself, and it extends out as the camera pans back and her bed extends out. And that's a practical shot. And it was awe-striking, but it also perfectly accentuated the story that they were telling, because now you realize, we're going down this rabbit hole of her dreams, her visions. And it's like, that shot is so beautiful.
I just realized something that I didn't know I wanted, but now wish I had. I would like Edgar Wright to direct a Matrix spinoff. I would like that, please.
See,
it couldn't be the main storyline. It couldn't be the Neo stuff, but I would like him to play in that sandbox, please.
Oh, totally. See, what's funny is you mentioned that after I said rabbit hole, and my brain went the opposite, and I was thinking he could do an amazing adaptation of Alice in Wonderland.
He could do both, please. I will accept either.
Which I guess Matrix technically is an adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, but still. Man, I honestly, Edgar Wright is just, I've always had him in my top 5 directors. I think it's getting to the point where I think he's my favorite director of all time.
Yeah.
He just has such a unique feel and style.
But with that doesn't stick himself in the same films over and over again.
He challenges himself. Even for the quote-unquote Cornetto trilogy. Yeah. Each one of them, so Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and then At World's End, were all completely different genres. Right. Even though they were quote-unquote part of the same
But that's trilogy. Sort of like a cheeky inside thing.
Yes, but I mean they're
But
all
no,
Simon Pegg and Nick
yeah.
Frost, and like they're a pairing.
Yeah.
They're not a a traditional trilogy,
Sure.
but you can buy a box set
Right.
of the three of those films.
Right.
Like they are sold together, kind of thing. And it's just like, but even those things that are pairings to each other, I mean, they're so perfect distillations of the genres that they are, but they're completely different genres.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love it. And, you know, back to Last Night in Soho, I don't even fully know what the genre is. Is it a murder mystery, psychological horror? Like, what even is it?
Yeah. It's like one part murder mystery, one part psychological horror, one part historical horror almost.
Yeah.
It's a Vice piece. Mm-hmm. It's many different genres. It's seedy Soho. That's the genre. There is like if you go back, there's a wedge of films that you could more closely. There's nothing now really being made. Mm-hmm. Because this is kind of a commentary on those films.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Man. Even though I don't even know what this movie is.
Yeah. It was super good.
It's a masterclass in filmmaking.
I think the easiest is to just call it a horror.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional horror, but it fits horror if you take into account the more recent story-driven horrors.
Yeah. Well, but that's
the thing.
It's
not only a horror. But I think that's where that's what I would represent it to people I was suggesting it to.
There are like body horror elements with like the faceless dudes.
There's enough horror that's what I'd present it with.
Right. Okay.
Especially like all of my lady friends, like this one deals with a lot of sexual abuse. So if that's a trigger point, present it as horror first and let them know that trigger warning before they watch it unaware. Because it's not really advertised in the trailer that will be too much a part of it.
It's
sort of, you get like a feeling that something's not gonna be good.
Well, it's hinted at that Jack, Matt Smith's character, is domineering and gaslighty.
Sure.
But it goes deep.
Yeah, it's not good. It's very horrific.
Yeah, like real life horrific.
Yes, real life horrific
stuff. Ooh, man.
Good movie.
So good. It gave me chills in multiple occasions. It's just well, and of course, you know, we sing the praises of Edgar Wright, which rightfully so, because he wrote, directed, and produced this. But I mean, the cast was just absolutely not just stellar, but on point.
Yeah.
The entire film. Every character was perfect, in my opinion.
Obviously, all the actors are talented, but also really does speak to Edgar Wright as a director, because he always gets the performance he wants.
Yeah.
And he's good at directing every genre.
Yeah.
He gets the comedic performances he wants in his comedy-based movies. He gets the performances in Baby Driver were going to be a totally different genre of direction than the performances he got out of this movie.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
And of course, his casting directors are always they bring him good people.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things that his talent brings to the table, is that he's so good people want to work with him.
Yeah.
You know, and just seeing, I don't know, the dichotomy between the past and the present being presented through the acting as well. Like the way that I'm always terrible. Thomasin? Yeah. So she's the quote-unquote main character of this.
Yeah.
Her physical acting changes from when she's just her to when she's mirroring
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember her actual name.
Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
A month ago, guys.
You are killer.
Did I mention that I switched jobs within that month?
Which is awesome.
I'm now a daytime human again.
Daytime. Fighter of the nighttime. But like her physical acting changes based off of the era that she's in. And it just, I don't know, like that's not an easy thing to do. Because it wasn't just like her accent or whatever. Because that, that, whatever. You can do that.
Well, I'm sure there was a movement coach, just like there would be a dialect coach.
It's still super impressive.
It is.
Just even the mannerisms.
Acute control of her body, but both of the actresses.
And I'm saying it poorly. Because it's not just the era. It was her matching the other actress.
That mirroring we were talking about.
Yeah. And it's just like, they're spot on. To the little way she held herself on her elbow, leaning against a countertop that had a mirror on it. It was identical. And it just, I don't know, the cinematographer was probably on point as well.
Yes.
You know, that's the thing with
everybody.
Edgar Wright films is everyone is on point.
Yeah.
Ugh. I fell in love with this movie.
So good.
It is gross, it is disturbing, but it's also beautiful and triumphant also.
Because it doesn't have like a hopeless dark ending. It kind of does, but it's a hopeless dark ending like you get. The premise is dark, but the actual actions are like the horror movie revenge ending you want.
Yeah.
So at least it ended on a decent note for the story, and the main character had a good ending.
Yes. A very actually happy ending.
The main character you didn't know was the main character had a less happy ending.
Right.
But still a good ending.
But even that ending was... It felt right.
Yes.
Because
it still felt triumphant.
And, of course, if you haven't watched this
Please movie, stop listening to
now.
us.
But when all the zombies came out and they were like...
Yeah, help us.
Help us. Like, when you realize that she had been murdering all of them. Right. And
which is a very good twist.
Oh, it's so good.
I did not see it coming.
No, I didn't either.
And I usually can at least catch a whiff of it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Didn't see it coming.
But if I were to go back, like, I can already think of things I should have noticed the first viewing.
Oh, yeah. Totally. But, like, they come out and you realize their bodies have been hidden in the floorboards and the walls. And, like, she mentions when she first moves in, like, you need to plug the sink and stuff like that because smells start to seep through when it's hot. You know, it's like, oh. But, like, they go, help us. And Ellie's character, Ellie, just goes, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
Like, it... Because
you want me to do a murder? No, thank you.
But, like, you've seen the atrocities that they've done to her, that it's just like, well, I'm sorry, you're already murdered.
Yeah.
I'm not going to help you get
moving
revenge on someone that you brutalized sexually.
Kind of busy here.
Right?
Trying not to die.
Yeah.
Trying not to join you lot forever.
So there's one moment that I still haven't processed.
Good.
And I'm not sure what it means for the film. Well, for the story, because I still love the film, whether this means something or not. But there's a moment where Jack, Matt Smith's character, as the building is burning down and they're trying to convince Ellie to murder, Sandra Beck, and he just steps out and says, no, and slaps Sandy, the old lady, and he physically hits her.
Right.
So he's like, so she can see the ghosts as like, I'm trying to
or she's confused as hell. Like, what was that?
Yeah, because it just, that was the one time where the apparitions affected something other than Ellie.
Sure.
And so I'm still trying to process that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
That was a really intense scene.
Yes, it was. I saw this movie at it started at 10 p.m.
Oh, God.
There were I don't know, 7 other people in the theater.
Yeah.
And it was the weirdest group of people. It was 3 teenage boys, me, and then a group of probably in their late 40s, early 50s, 2 men and 1 woman. So I felt like this would draw a lot more women based on how it was advertised.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were only 2 of us in the theater.
Interesting.
And the age range was just so strange. It just covered everything from teen up to the 50s area.
That's so strange. Yeah, I don't know.
It was weird.
Yeah, because this was definitely it was advertised very much so in the period piece murder thriller.
Yeah.
Which, not to stereotype or whatnot, but that's kind of aimed towards the female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say it was well advertised. I cannot get that cut of the da 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 whoop whoop out of my head. Just such a good musical edit there with the psycho violins.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that music, if you understood the references in the music, was going to tell you that this was going to be a horror movie. Yeah. Even the tone, if you don't understand where the music is from or what the reference is, that's not a good sound.
Yeah, there's going to be at least some
works
sort
for
of
a
suspense.
reason. You will feel that those are the incorrect notes to be hearing right now.
Yeah.
But I just, because it's it was advertised as such a swishy, fashion-y horror.
Yeah, with music and fashion as
which, to be fair, it was.
Yeah.
That.
Which... Edgar Wright, he's right there for me with James Gunn, as he just knows how to build and utilize a soundtrack.
Well, he builds his soundtracks first a lot of the times.
Yeah. But it just, no one other than him and James Gunn are peerless, I feel.
Yeah.
When it comes to
the
soundtrack
kings of
utilization.
needle drop.
Yeah. One of the interviews I was watching with Edgar Wright was talking about Baby Driver and how each thing was set to music, because babies always listen to music, and they would choreograph the car chase scene, and they would digitally add in pylons to fit with the beats of the different things. And it's dude, that's
so good.
That's just dedication to the craft,
It's like a special extra treat for people who grew up in any form of music and to watch movies closely.
Yeah.
Which is it's us.
Yeah.
It's a treat for us.
Yeah. Definitely. Man. I don't know what else to say about Last Night in Soho other than it's probably my movie of this year so far.
Yeah, I think that's fair for me as well.
It's
so good.
It's so good. And it's head and shoulders above all the other films that have come out this year. There's been movies that I've enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. 2021 has actually been a pretty damn good year for movies.
Yeah,
it's been...
Gave us all of 2020 and all of 2021.
There's some...
Which is a double reward for this one. You won 2 years.
Yeah. But, Last Night in Soho just... Like I said, it's a head and shoulders above its competition. And it just felt so unique.
Yeah.
The mold that they used for this movie, it felt like they dusted off a mold from the 1960s or 70s and then revamped it to modern aesthetic. I don't know. It's hard to explain the feel of this movie because
he gets vibes right.
Yeah.
He's very good at vibes.
Yeah.
He's a vibe crafter.
A vibe crafter. Oh man. Edgar Wright. What's your next movie? Do you even have one?
Do we know yet?
I don't know. We'll find out. The Running Man.
The Running Man.
Announced. Oh, it's an adaptation of the Stephen King story.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll watch it.
I'm in.
Yep.
All
sure,
right.
Why not?
Edgar Wright is phenomenal. So, Last Night in Soho is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it yet, why don't you listen to us?
We have good things to say to you, but they won't make sense unless you watch the movies.
So, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You ruined it for yourself. Are you happy?
And now that you've listened to our episode after having listened to it, thank you for following our advice, guys. Jeez. Anyways, let's talk about what we're going to be watching next.
Yeah, we've got a double feature.
A special musical episode where we're going to be watching Encanto, Disney's Encanto, and Spielberg's West Side Story.
Yeah.
And they're two movies that are coming out relatively close to each other. And we wanted to watch both of them. So we're going to watch both of them.
Yay.
And we're going to review both of them. But since the episode after that's going to be Spider-Man, we don't have the episode time. So we're going to do a double episode.
Yay.
Hooray! So, look forward to that next episode for some Encanto and West Side Story.
Yay.
Do we want to thank our patrons?
Probably should.
Probably.
They give us money so that we can thank them.
Yeah, that's true.
It's Jenny, Jake, Pam, and Graham.
Thank you, Jenny, Jake, Pam, and Graham. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.
And with that, this has been another episode of Casual Cinephilia. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.